Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, if Tyler Glasnow keeps pitching like he did against the Twins on Tuesday night, he is going to be a Cy Young contender because he was dominant. Let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Dodger fans, this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks to our everydayers for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. So please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening right now. My name is Jeff Snyder. My normal co-host is Vince Semperio, although it's just me today. Vince and I are both lifelong Dodger fans, just like a lot of you. We've also both spent time covering the Dodgers in the press box and the locker room, so we're not quite insiders, but we bring you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue every weekday morning. And this was a fun game for the Dodgers on Tuesday night. Tyler Glasnow took the mound, and honestly, what we've known from Glasnow's first three starts before tonight was that any game that he has all his pitches working, he's going to be dominant because he has been pretty darn good so far, even though his curveball really hasn't been there. Well, tonight, his curveball was there, his slider was there, his fastball was there, and between the three of them, that's three really good pitches, and the Twins had no answer for it. Glasnow went 7 innings, struck out 14 batters, only threw 88 pitches. And, this was mentioned on social media. I mentioned actually in the postgame interview with Glasnow, but in case you didn't hear it, Glasnow is the first pitcher ever to strike out 14 batters in a game and throw fewer than 90 pitches. He threw 88 pitches. The previous low was Hunter Green last year, actually struck out 14 on 92 pitches. He also went 7 innings, also allowed 3 hits. He allowed a run. Glasnow didn't, and he walked a dude. The only 11 guys had done it in less than 100 pitches. The fewest pitches for a Dodger striking out at least 14 batters is Clayton Kershaw. Twice did it in 101 pitches. One of those was a complete game. That's pretty impressive. But fewest pitches in, and we say in baseball history, in the pitch tracking era, which goes back to 1988. So not as far back. We don't have accurate pitch counts for anything before 1988. We have, you'll see things on social media sometimes. Nolan Ryan once threw 947 pitches, and then he came back 2 days later and threw 16,000 pitches in the next game or whatever. And those are all based on extemporaneous reports. Like people would count pitches sometimes, but they weren't tracked. And so reporters would know sometimes, okay, here's how many pitches Nolan Ryan threw in this game, but we don't have full play-by-play records going back before 1988. We have some, but not full pitch tracking. So going back to 1988, though, it's the fewest pitches thrown in a game with at least 14 strikeouts. Pretty darn impressive. He was very, very efficient. He could have gone back out there, and they talked about it on the broadcast. They talked about it with Glasnow after the game later in the season. Maybe he would have gone back out for the 8th inning, maybe even go for a complete game, because at 88 pitches through 7 innings, you're thinking, probably you could get through a complete game in 115 pitches. And that's not out of line for what you might expect a veteran like Glasnow to get. But he even said, the way the game is now, plus it being only the 4th start of the season, early in the season, it didn't really even cross his mind much to come back out for the 8th inning. It sounded like he maybe would have liked to come out and get one more strikeout just to actually set a new career high instead of just tying his existing career high. But still, it's a career high, and it was a dominant game. And like I said, it all comes down to having the curveball, because we saw him pitch well in his last start against the Giants. He pitched well. Like his final line didn't show it, because he did give up that 2-run single to Michael Conforto in the 6th inning. But before that, he was a good pitch away from 6 innings and 1 run allowed in that game, despite the fact that his curveball just wasn't landing. He couldn't really count on it. He did land some, but it wasn't consistent enough to really, really work for him. And it's kind of been a running theme. Like his opening day start, or the home opener start, not the game of Korea, but the home opener start, the curveball was a little bit better, but still not quite as fully commanded as he would have liked. And so this was the first time really that we've gotten to see Tyler Glasnow in a Dodger uniform with a curveball that he really trusted, and seeing the fastball and the slider play off that curveball. I mean, your fastball, he throws, 96, 97 anyway, but that's got to feel like 100 when the guys have to be ready for a curveball. Or the flip side of that is, if you have to sit fastball, how are you ever going to hit that curveball or that slider? And so it's, it was exciting as a Dodger fan to watch, to see the potential there. Like when the Dodgers got Glasnow, everybody said, talent-wise, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. The question for Glasnow has always been, can he stay healthy? And I hope the answer is yes, because what we saw here, like, I know the Twins aren't a great offensive team. I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that in the next segment. A funny stat I heard on the pregame show. But they're not a great offensive team, but they are the defending division champions, as Joe Davis pointed out on the broadcast. And they're a major league team. And Glasnow made them look bad. He dominated them. And it was so much fun to watch. And I just hope that there was something that clicked for him so that we do get that curveball more consistently, because when that pitch is on, when he's got all three of his pitches working, it's just like, he is a guy with the kind of stuff that you go into a game thinking, we could see a no-hitter tonight. He's never thrown a no-hitter yet, but you could see it when he gave up his first hit with 2 outs in the third inning, and James Outman almost caught it. Like, Oral Hershiser was already talking about how good his stuff looks. And this, Outman wanted to preserve the no-hitter. It's the third inning. And that's totally in line, because the way he was pitching, and he ended up giving up another hit to that same guy 9 batters later. The 9-hitter guy who had 0 career hits coming into the game had the first 2 hits for them. And then Byron Buxton got a hit later. And then the Twins got a few hits of the home run variety off relief pitchers. But, Glasnow just allowed the 3 hits, and it was no-hit stuff. And it kind of underscores how hard it is to throw a no-hitter, because even when you have no-hit stuff, like, things fall in, or you make one bad pitch or whatever, and a guy jumps on it. So I'm not saying Glasnow will throw a no-hitter this year, but any game that he has all 3 pitches working, there's a chance for it. And it's kind of appointment viewing. It's you don't want to miss a game when he's pitching, because there's some really good stuff, a lot of fun. And that's what we got to see tonight. So he's now 3-0 with the Dodgers. Dodgers have won all 4 games that he started, and he gave them length. The Dodgers didn't have to use any of their high leverage relievers, which is nice, because they used their top guys the day before. And so now we head into Wednesday's series finale, a day game on Wednesday. I think it's 10:20 LA time. I think it's 11:20 my time. So yeah, 10:20 LA time, and going for a sweep, which would mean, despite the disappointing series in Chicago, Dodgers have a chance to finish 4-2 on this road trip if they can finish off this sweep of the Twins. And they have all their top relievers available. It's going to be, and they have Bobby Miller going. So it should be a lot of fun, a day game. And then they have the day off. So they'll head into the series with the Padres with their bullpen in good shape, a lot because of Tyler Glasnow. So all in all, great game for Glasnow. It was also another great game for Will Smith. We're going to talk a little bit about him. He's a guy who maybe hasn't gotten quite as much love as he deserves. And there was a stat on the pregame show that kind of underscored that for me. So I'm going to come back and talk about Will Smith in a minute. So thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. And please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action on sports in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB in the PrizePicks app for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Hey, I'm back. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Especially want to thank our everydayers. It's easy to become an everydayer if you're not one. Just watch or listen every weekday morning. You can catch it on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts, including on the SiriusXM app. You can just search for Locked On Dodgers. You can also catch every pitch of every Dodger game on SiriusXM or the SXM app by searching for Dodgers. You can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. Text message based service. We send you alerts with our thoughts on trades or rumors or news, whatever. And you can reply to us one-on-one conversations. It's a lot of fun. We're having a lot of fun with our insiders over there. So check that out. It's just a few bucks a month with a free 14-day trial. And be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network, giving you everything you want from the world of sports or the world of LA sports, whichever is your preference. And with that said, let's jump back into this episode. I was watching the pregame show before Tuesday's game, and they mentioned an interesting stat that going into this game, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman had combined for 53 hits this year, and the Twins team had 47 hits this year. Now, obviously, the Dodgers do have a couple more games played than the Twins, but still, that's ridiculous. But for me, the most ridiculous part of it was talking about Mookie and Ohtani and Freeman. Well, the guy who bats after them is batting 400. So it's not like it's, all the hits are coming from those guys. The next guy going into the game had 18 hits of his own. So the big four had, 71 hits compared to the 47 for the entire Twins team. Will Smith had 2 more hits in this game, went 2 for 5, which means he kept his 400 batting average right at 400. He now has 20 hits this season in 50 at bats. And one of those hits was a big 3-run homer. I guess I should mention James Outman also hit a big 3-run homer. He hit the big 3-run homer to break a scoreless tie, which means, again, if this was 1986 tops on the back of his card, it would game-winning RBIs. We're up to 2 now because he drove in the run that put the Dodgers ahead for good. That was a stat that didn't last very long, but it was around when in my childhood, and it's always fun. I actually. This is the total diversion, but it's my podcast, so I can do that. When I was down in California for the home opener, I was at my parents' house talking with my brother. We were looking at his baseball cards, and on the back of the Gary Templeton card that we were looking at, Gary Templeton was a shortstop for the Padres when we were kids, had been with the Cardinals before we were paying much attention to baseball. And in 1979, Gary Templeton became the first player ever to have 100 hits from each side of the plate in one season. That's a big, long story that I actually played a major part in restoring that for him. I'll tell you the short version. Baseball Reference and Retro Sheet, all the stat sites didn't have, they had Templeton only having 94 hits from the right side of the plate that season. So he officially didn't have that statistical feat anymore. And I dug through all the newspaper archives and found the proof that he actually did have 100 hits batting right-handed. And now, if you look on Baseball Reference, look at Gary Templeton's 1979 splits. It says 100 hits from the right side of the plate. That's because Jeff Snyder did the work. But anyway, so we were looking at the Gary Templeton card. So I asked my brother, look on the back, does it mention him having 100 hits from each side of the plate in 1979? And he said, no, but it does say that he had the game-winning RBI in whatever game. And I looked up that game, and it was literally infield single in the first inning that drove in a run, but his team didn't trail after that. And so that was a game-winning RBI. That's why that stat didn't last that long, because it's kind of meaningless. Like, an RBI single in the first inning, that's cool. It's great to get out in front, but game-winning RBI, I don't know if I'd call it that. And so they stopped calling it that. But anyway, that's what James Outman would have if that stat still existed, because he had a 3-run homer to dead center. He also had a single. So, hopefully Outman, the cricket bat is working for him and he's turning around. But this segment is about Will Smith back to him. He had a 3-run homer after Outman's opposite field, just a kind of a laser to right field, hit the ball hard. He also had a single earlier in the game, and it was a really good game for Smith, obviously offensively. And I think that the part that catchers, like, we know that there's a lower offensive bar for catchers. I was actually talking to my wife about this the other day. Like Pudge Rodriguez, legit Hall of Famer. He had a career OPS plus of 106, meaning he was just 6% above average offensively. And now that does include his last several years where he was below average. So it was better than that earlier. But even before that, like most Hall of Famers have an OPS plus of at least 125 and usually even higher than that if you get in because of your offense. Catchers, though, there's a lower offensive bar and there's just not as many great offensive catchers. And one of the reasons for that is because you look at Will Smith. Actually, that's why I was talking to my wife about it. It was right before the game was starting, and it was they showed Will Smith out playing catch in the outfield, and she said, "Why isn't he getting ready to play?" And I said, "Well, he is. He's getting the pitcher ready, and that's a catcher's primary job, is to handle the pitcher, to do what the pitcher needs." And so he's studying the opposing team. He's, instead of, when the game's about to start, he's not in the dugout, putting on his batting gloves, getting in the zone for hitting. He's out in the bullpen warming up the starting pitcher. He's doing, like, a catcher's entire existence is for the pitchers. And so when you have a guy like Will Smith who can hit despite all of that focus on the pitcher, and in a game like this where it's really like you see the pitcher dominate, and Tyler Glasnow gets the vast majority of the credit for that, but you've never seen a pitcher throw a great game without him mentioning his catcher in the post-game interview. It's like almost a cliche and a no-hitter now. Like, if a pitcher throws a no-hitter, the first answer is always going to be, well, Billy caught a great game, put the fingers down, and I didn't have to shake him off once all game. And they always credit their catcher. There's a reason for that. And so the fact that Will Smith caught a great game and also hit a 3-run homer, had 2 hits, kept his batting average at 400, what he's doing offensively, obviously he's not going to bat 400 this year. It's not going to remain this good, but we are on year 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, year 6 now of Will Smith being a very good offensive catcher. Like, his offense is, he would be a good hitter no matter what position he was playing, and he's playing catcher. It's been really remarkable. And obviously, I mean, we talk about Will Smith a lot. It's not like he's an unsung hero. I kind of put unsung in the label over there on the right, and unsung probably isn't quite the right word, because we sing a lot about Will Smith, but compared to the big three, yeah, he is kind of unsung. This was actually his first home run of the season. And I've actually gotten a couple text messages and stuff. Are you concerned about Will Smith's lack of power? And ultimately it's like, you know what? I will never be concerned about anybody batting 400. And that's, if he doesn't, what I told somebody is that's all going to even out. He's not going to bat 400, but the power is going to come because he does hit the ball hard. He hits the ball well. And, he's got 426 on base percentage, so he's taken a few walks. Like, he is having a great offensive season. And I do think that the power will come. He'll get pitches to turn on once in a while. He's in a great position batting behind those big three. Here's the most remarkable thing. And I tweeted this out as kind of a Mookie, Shohei, Freddie stat. Will Smith led off the second inning in this game. He flied out. That was his first plate appearance this year in the second inning of a game, because this was his 12th game. In each of the first 11, he came to bat in the first inning. Think about that. Every single time until today, Will Smith batted in the first inning as the cleanup hitter. He's coming up with guys on base all the time. It's going to be a great opportunity for him. He's going to get so many opportunities to drive in runs, whether it is with the home run like he did today or with the RBI single like he did yesterday. He's going to get those opportunities. And it just blew my mind that if you look at his splits, and plate appearance by inning. Second inning was the only one that he didn't have any plate appearances yet this year. Now he does. He now has one. He's probably not going to get very many. I'm excited to track that stat all year long, see how much they can keep this up, because, and even in this game, Mookie Betts walked to lead off the game. It was only a Freddie Freeman double play that kept Smith from batting in the first inning again. Like, he's going to get a lot of at-bats in the first inning, a lot of at-bats throughout the game, and a lot of at-bats with runners on base. And it's pretty awesome because he hits the ball well with guys on base. He's batting over 500 with runners in scoring position. He's hitting, almost 500 with runners on base. Just dominant season offensively so far for Will Smith. Still very early. We're only 14 games into the season. What we've seen so far is pretty fun. Speaking of pretty fun, Shohei Ohtani, even in a day where his multi-hit streak was broken, he still did something pretty notable. Had another extra base hit and the second hardest hit ball for the Dodgers this season. We're going to come back and talk about Ohtani and how hard he hits the ball. So thanks again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen, and please continue to keep it Locked On Dodgers. This episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And back. Thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning. Please become an everydayer by watching and listening every weekday morning, and by subscribing wherever you're watching and listening right now. Be sure to check out every pitch of every Dodger game you can't watch on TV. You can catch them on SiriusXM or the SXM app just by searching for Dodgers. You can also listen to this show on the SXM app by searching for Locked On Dodgers. You can become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. And you can check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. So Shohei Ohtani, in his second at bat of this game, he hit a double, yet another extra base hit, extended his league leading number. I think he's up to 12 extra base hits now, something like that. His eighth double. Just, he hits the ball hard. And this one was 114 miles an hour. It was a ground ball that just got past the first baseman and still somehow got to the wall. Like, just because he hit it so dang hard. And I saw a tweet now that Ohtani has the 7 hardest hit balls for the Dodgers this year. Remember, this is a guy who, 5 days ago, we were worried. People, I won't say we weren't worried. We were wondering when he would turn it on. Some people were worried about whether he would turn it on. But either way, he's got the 7 hardest hit balls for the Dodgers. And that's why, like Vince and I talked about yesterday, our level of concern was a little bit lower because he was still hitting the ball hard. It was mostly a launch angle thing. And now we're seeing, even this one was a ground ball, or at least a low line drive that got to the wall, but he's been hitting line drives, fly balls, home runs. He's doing it all, just hitting the ball crazy hard. And that's the thing that, like, when you just watch Ohtani, the swing, like, he has a swing that you wouldn't teach to a little leaguer. You wouldn't say, like, there's some guys, you can watch a video of Mike Trout swing and you can tell a kid, practice that. That's the swing you want to have, because Mike Trout has a classically perfect swing. There's guys like that. Corey Seager has a swing that you say, if you can replicate that swing, you will be successful. Nobody would look at Shohei Ohtani and say, you should learn to swing like that, because it's not, I don't know what I don't want to say it's not pretty, because it is a pretty swing, but it's pretty in a different way than your classically pretty swings. And, his butt flies out a little bit. He looks like he's bailing out on the pitch, but when you look at it, his feet aren't bailing out. It's a little bit like whatever it is, the levers that his body pulls, that's how his body looks, but he's not stepping in the bucket, not stepping towards first base with his feet. It's the body, and that allows him to extend his hands and get whatever it is. Like, he swings the bat so hard. He gets so much torque and whipping motion on that bat that, we've seen some ridiculous swings where it's like, okay, that looked like a regular swing, and he hit the ball 108 miles an hour. His home run on Monday against the Twins, off the bat, it looked like a lazy fly out to left. But the reason it wasn't is because he hit it 107 miles an hour. Most batters, when they make a swing like that, they hit the ball 96 miles an hour, and the left fielder camps under it 14 feet in front of the warning track and makes the catch. But Ohtani hit it 107 miles an hour, and so it turned into a home run. Like, that's the kind of unique player that he is. I don't think there's anybody in baseball who hits the ball as hard with, like, guys hit it harder. Aaron Judge hits the ball probably on average as hard or harder than Ohtani. Giancarlo Stanton, when he hits the ball, he hits it really hard. But he's got, those guys are both beasts, and Ohtani's a beast too physically. But like, their swings look like, oh, I can see why that one went 120 miles an hour, because look how hard he swung. And Ohtani, it's not until you watch like a slow-mo replay and you realize that everything except the bat looks like it's slow-mo, but even in slow-mo, the bat looks like, right, you're like, that is a lot of bat speed. And it's, like I said, you wouldn't teach that swing to a little leaguer, but whatever it is, it works for Ohtani, and it's not showing any signs of not working because he has plate coverage. He can get to every pitch. He can, like, there's some swing and miss in there for sure, but he covers the plate so well and can do so much with what looks like poor quality of contact. It's not when it's coming off his bat. It's just so much fun. And I've said that so many times in the last 4 months since the Dodgers signed Ohtani. Yeah, 4 months, right? Yeah, mid-December. So it's been almost 4 months. Like, how much fun it is that Shohei Ohtani is a Dodger. You guys know, if you're an everyday, you've heard me talk several times. Ohtani was one of my favorite players before he became a Dodger. He is like, I bring up Mike Trout earlier. Like, if the Dodgers would get Mike Trout, I think it would be 4 for 4 on the Dodgers getting my favorite players, because Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani, in addition to being great, like, that's part of what has always drawn me to them. They're great players, but also, like, they seem like nice guys. Like, I don't know, like somebody who can smile on a baseball field. I really like that. And so that's, what drew me to all those guys. And so having 3 of them on the Dodgers now is so much fun. I wouldn't be opposed to getting Mike Trout if Artie Moreno, decides that Vince is actually at the Angel game right now. That's why he's not doing this podcast with me. And he tweeted out a picture saying Artie needs to sell the team because Angel Stadium is, virtually empty. It's just a ghost town. It's a bummer what's happening there. So, save Mike Trout, send him to the Dodgers. I don't know where, we'll make room for him. I guess an outfield of, I guess I'm not going to go too deep in that until it's a realistic possibility. But man, that would have all my favorite non-Dodgers on the Dodgers, because Ohtani, like, he is so much fun to watch as a player. And I watched way more Angel games than I otherwise would have the last several years, because I like watching Shohei Ohtani's ability to change a game. I've mentioned this before last year when 2 years ago, when Tyler Anderson had his no-hitter going against the Angels. And like, I just knew he's not going to get it, because you're not going to get Shohei Ohtani out 4 times in one game. And sure enough, Ohtani broke it up. And then later a scoring change broke it up retroactively even earlier, because Jared Walsh had hit a little dribbler that had been called an error on Anderson, but they changed it to a hit after the fact. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Like, it was always like, when you have to face Shohei Ohtani 4 times in one game, it's going to be hard to throw a no-hitter. And it's going to be hard to shut the Dodgers offense down. Overall, it's just a lot of fun having Ohtani on the team, hitting the ball crazy hard. And everything about it is fun right now. So that's going to do it for me for today, I think. Great game for Tyler Glasnow. Great game for Will Smith. Great game for James Outman. Great game, or at least fun game for Shohei Ohtani. Like I said, his multi-hit streak was broken. His hitting streak remains intact, and he had another extra base hit. So all in all, and the Dodgers won 6-3. Connor Brogdon did make his Dodgers debut and allowed home runs to the first two batters he faced. But now he's on a streak of getting three straight batters out. So you know what? Maybe he'll turn that around. He will get more chances. The Dodgers actually traded a real prospect for him. And so the Mark Prior lab is going to get to work on Connor Brogdon and hopefully make some tweaks and get him back to, he was a pretty solid pitcher with the Phillies a couple of years ago. So hopefully they can get that back. But it was good that he had a 5-run lead when he came in this game. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every weekday morning, especially thanks to our everydayers. Please become an everydayer by watching or listening every weekday morning and subscribe wherever you're watching and listening right now to make that easier. Be sure to become a Locked On Dodgers insider by going to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. Be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles, the two 24/7 streaming channels on YouTube from the Locked On Podcast Network. And be sure to, anytime you can't catch the game on TV, like the Dodgers have a day game today, closing out the series with the Twins. If you're stuck at work so you can't be watching on TV, just launch the SXM app or get on SiriusXM if you're in your car, and you can listen to every pitch of the game there. Just search for Dodgers on the SXM app. You can also listen to this podcast on the SXM app by searching for Locked On Dodgers. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Vince is on Twitter at VinceSense91. I'm on Twitter at Snydog. The DMs are open for both of us there. You can also email us anytime, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail or a text message to 323-863-LOCK 5625. We are here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car or sit on your couch, tell your smart device to play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. We'll talk to you tomorrow.